Hello everybody, my name is Trikopani and here is the ruin of Sendai Castle. Obviously, it's in Sendai. This city is the center of northeast region of Japan and also the one of the top 7 metropolis of this country. And one more thing, the constructor of this city, Tate Masamune, is very famous for Japanese people. This video is a general Sendai guide. I will tell you one thing about this city. What is this? Where is this? Things you can do in here is pros and cons, how to travel, kind of that. Yes, it's time to discover Sendai.
Sendai is a city of approximately 1 million people. It is the center of Miyagi Prefecture in northeastern Japan. It's also the only large city in the region. There are the populations of each center city of Tohoku region. Sendai is the only one that exceeds 1 million. Human beings settled at Sendai long time ago, but it really became a major area after the Sengoku period. Tokugawa Ieyasu unified Japan in the early 17th century. At that time, there was a famous warlord named Tate Masamune. His nickname was the One-Eyed Dragon because he lost an eye to smallpox at the age of 3. It is not about the sword maker. Anyway, Lord Tate survived the age of war. He was granted the territory of Sendai from Ieyasu. Tate built Sendai Castle, constructed a city, and made rice fields. Sendai was soon at its peak. At one point, more than a third of rice in Edo, former Tokyo, came from Sendai. Since then, Sendai has steadily established itself as the leading metropolis in Tohoku region. In modern times, the city was devastated by the Great Tohoku earthquake in 2011, but Sendai has maintained its position as the regional hub city. It is a really iconic city in many ways. Sendai's population ranks 11th in all of Japan. Aside from major cities, Hiroshima, Saitama, and Kawasaki are also ranked higher than Sendai. But 8.5 million population of Tohoku is also Sendai's background. The city's market is not only about the city, but also whole Miyagi Prefecture, Iwate, Aomori, Yamagata, and Akita. So Sendai has a lot of offer for its size. There is a large international upper upscale hotel like Westin, and then there's a Mitsui Garden Hotel, a Japanese premium brand. Right in front of station, there's a huge loft, Pokemon, and jump shops, and an arcade that's always packed with people. The closest thing to Sendai in terms of size in Hiroshima, but Sendai is definitely more lively than that. The layout of Sendai is similar to other Japanese cities. The city is flat, flanked by mountains and the sea. But in Sendai tourism, serve of sea and mountains share more than usual. There is only one downtown area in front of the main station, and you can finish almost city contents just in a day. So almost tourists head to the mountains and sea surrounding this city. Matsushima to the east, Akio Falls to the west, and Yamadera beyond. These are places that the old poet Matsuo Basho admired and visited. They are the highlights of the trip to Sendai. So unlike Tokyo and Osaka, where you usually stay in the urban area, Sendai will take you out to the suburbs for at least half of your trip. This is the best specialty of Sendai. Gyutan is the Japanese word for beef tongue. The word gyu for beef and tan from the tongue. There are tons of gyutan restaurants in Sendai city, and it's so popular and famous. Some people might hesitate to try beef tongue, but it's really delicious. You should try this. It is very savory and it's got a little bit of bouncy texture, a little bit like a chicken gizzard. It's usually grilled over an open flame and served with salad and beef broth. Some places sell it in curry, some in stew, but it tastes best over an open flame. Also, beef tongue has tougher part on the end and the thick, tender part on the inside. The flavor of the thicker part is way better than the thin part. Order the thicker cuts if you can, even though they are more expensive. There are several brands, but my favorite is Kaku. The second on the list is oyster. Not in Sendai City, but from the Ria-style coast of Matsushima. They can be eaten in variety of ways. You can eat them raw, of course, or grilled over charcoal. Creamy gratin is delicious. The curry was not good, it didn't work. But my favorite is fries. There aren't too many specialty restaurants in Sendai City. There's a lot of them in Matsushima, which I will introduce later. Grinded grated green beans, then sweetened. Your first reaction will usually be, what the... But it is surprisingly delicious. The most popular way to eat is with mochi, the rice cake. In Sendai, they want to make zinda very popular in the whole country. So you can find a wide variety of zinda desserts. There's a dorayaki, there's a tarts, shaved ice, drinks. Anyway, try this, it's pretty good. Last but not least is sasa kamaboku, a bamboo leaf-shaped fish cake. Unlike other fish cakes that are boiled, these are grilled over. The flavor is a bit empty among the 4 specialties here. It's just grilled fish cake, it's not very flavorful, but it's not expensive too. So if you pass by, you can try it. The center of Sendai is simply Sendai Station. Japan is a kingdom of railway. Central Station is almost a city center. The west side of JR Sendai Station is the main district of this city. All the big shopping malls are here. All the major hotels are here. And there's restaurant and everything you'd expect. There are a couple of things to note here. The first is the L-shaped street that you can see faintly on the map here. This is the arcade shopping street. It's divided into sections, Gliss Road, Blumdom Road, but it's just one big arcade. Most of the restaurants, most of bars, they are all around here. Don Quixote, Disney Store, and a lot of other shops too. The second is the Sendai Morning Market, which is a little further away. As the name suggests, the market is open in the morning, and seafood is the main product. You can try raw oysters, raw clams, raw uni, sea urchin. The prices aren't that cheap, but that's to be expected with seafood. The third is the area to the west of the arcade. It is a big nightlife district, very Japanese. There are tons of bars and pubs that open at night. It's not a good place for foreigners to hang out, but there's a place like this. Fourth is Tohoku University, southwest of the station, one of the 7 imperial universities of Japan, but the campus is not very active for tourists. Now we head to west. To do so, we have to cross the winding Hirose River. I like the very rural feel of this river. It's hard to believe that it's a major river in a metropolis of 1 million people. And then there's Mount Aoba. It's home to ruins of Sendai Castle and is filled with traces of Date Masamune. First, let's take a look at Zuihoden at the end of the Mount Aoba. This is the mausoleum of Date Masamune. Unlike Sendai Castle, it's been well preserved. It is the first place that comes to mind when I think of Sendai's tourist attractions. I like this tranquility, unlike the hustle and bustle of downtown Sendai. And Sendai Castle to the west of it. Beside the castle, there are other campuses of Tohoku University and the convention center, but overall, it's very quiet area. On the way up to the castle is the Sendai Museum. It shows the history of Sendai very well. They exhibit the helmet of Date Masamune, which is very famous for being the inspiration for the design for Darth Vader in Star Wars. And there is an old giant Sendai map. It's fun to look up Matsushima and other sightseeing spots in the area here. The real Sendai Castle is located at the top of the hill. Unfortunately, all the original buildings has burned down, and only the castle ruins remain. What a shame. Anyway, an equestrian statue of Lord Date is installed here, and the view of Sendai City from here is amazing too, so it's worth to go up. South of Sendai Castle, there's another mountain called Yagiyama. There are Yagiyama Zoo and Bennyland, an amusement park. You can get there via subway. Neither of them are great, so it's very local. It's not really about the animals or the rides, it's more about how Sendai people spend their leisure time. Look at this subway attraction in Baniland. It's very Japanese. North of Mount Aoba is Osaki Hachimangu Shrine. Hachiman is a samurai god of Japan. Tsuruoka Hachimangu in Kamakura, near Tokyo, is famous. It is the second most visited temple in Sendai city after Suihoden. And there's a notorious Sendai Taikannon statue. It's just beyond Osaki. You can see it from a distance even at Sendai Castle. The last temple is Toshogu to the east. This shrine is dedicated to Tokugawa Ieyasu, a founder of the Edo shogunate. The shrine itself is quiet, but the view of Sendai city from here is quite nice. Uminomori Aquarium, just east of Sendai city center, an obscure aquarium in obscure metropolis of Sendai. But the big tank you can see at the beginning is definitely impressive. The main theme is the sea and rivers of Miyagi Prefecture, but there are also penguins and some sea mammals. It is worth a visit if you are in Sendai for more than 3 nights. Here's the southeastern coastline beyond Uminomori. The coastline is straight and the plain is flat. It is why it was heavily damaged during the Great Tohoku earthquake. You can see traces of that near Arahama Elementary School. A little bit south of there is Yuriage Market. It is small local market that's only open on Sunday. People mostly come by car, but somehow there are buses. It's similar to Sendai Morning Market, but has more festival atmosphere. It's not just fish and vegetables, but you can buy raw seafood and squid and grill it yourself. It is a unique experience at Yuriage Market. Sendai Airport is south of Yuriage. It's a long way from the city center, but it's easily accessible by airport rail, so it's not inconvenient to travel. Now let's head to north, Matsushima. This is Sendai's most famous natural landscape. It's a Rias-style coast, similar to European Croatia. The oysters grown here are another specialty of Miyagi Prefecture. Matsushima Kaigan Station is the center of travel in the area. The most popular experience is a cruise around the coast. But that's not the end of sightseeing in Matsushima. There's a small temple called Godaido right next to the port. And further inland is an old temple called Juiganji. Founded at 828, it is the oldest temple in Tohoku region. Lord Date rebuilt it after it collapsed and it's been standing ever since. It's also served at his residence. The Cedar Avenue leading from the main gate is very impressive. And next to it is Enchuin Temple. Unlike Juiganji, which has a nice building, this one has a really beautiful garden. It's more beautiful than most places in Kyoto. If you come to Matsushima, you should definitely visit this place. Sagaya Park is an observation deck on Back Hill. It's a bit of a hike, but it's a great way to see Matsushima from up high. And there are so many eateries around the station and marina, so you can have a nice lunch in here. Now we enter the Western Mountains. The keyword for this area is hot springs. Akiu Onsen and Sakunami Onsen are the two majors. Each has its own distinctive features. Akiu Onsen has no railroad, so you can only get there by bus. But the onsen town is bigger and there are some interesting things to see inside. If you go a little further into the mountains, you can see the stunning Akiu Falls. Of course, the bus comes to Akiu Falls. If you want to focus more on hot springs, Akiu is the place to go. In contrast to Akiu, Sakunami is served by a railroad. It's accessible by rail from Sendai Station, which is a big plus. There's also Nika Whiskey Distillery nearby, which you can tour, but it's a long way from Sakunami Station to the distillery and the ryokan, a minor disadvantage. Also, if you take a train from Sakunami Station, you can visit Yamadera far beyond. It's an old temple built on the cliff on the side of the mountain. Actually, it's in Yamagata Prefecture, not Sendai, not Miyagi, but it's definitely one of the best views in Sendai travel. There are more places to visit. Chao Fox Village below, Okama Caldera nearby, and Naruko Onsen in the north, but I won't bother explaining it here. My favorite point about Sendai. Do you know anyone who has traveled to Sendai? Probably not. Many tourists visit Tokyo, Osaka, but not Sendai. This city doesn't get many foreign tourists, maybe a few long-term travelers. So, who are the people who populate these bustling cities and tourist destinations? It's all Japanese people. You are going to have an amazing local experience in Sendai. Whether you are at the main train station, a famous restaurant, a major tourist attraction, you will hear nothing but Japanese. This is something you won't find in other big Japanese cities. Sendai also has a stronger sense of local color than others. First of all, the local historian Date Masamune. It is easy for tourists to connect with him. His tomb, his castle, his house, there are ruins of him everywhere. And the food is so unique to Sendai. Hiroshima is just as famous for oysters as Sendai, but takoyaki, okonomiyaki, and kushikatsu in Osaka, Fukuoka's tonkotsu ramen, you can find them anywhere in Japan. But beef tongue, zunda, that kind of things is hard to find in other regions. That's the beauty of having a Sendai experience that you can't get anywhere else, right? It's a little known fact, but Sendai is very easy to get around, both in the city and in the suburbs. First, in the city, there's a Sendai Satsing Loop Pool bus, which has a fantastic route and frequency. They come every 20 minutes, so you don't have to wait long. The route is simple and it goes all the places you want to go. And just a quick JR ride to Matsushima or Sakunami Hot Spring. You don't have to make any special reservations or anything. Sendai trip is very easy and doesn't require much studying. Sendai is a big city. It's a major regional metropolis, so you will find everything you need in the city. And there's a mountains, ocean, and everything in between. But each experience isn't particularly unique. It's a subset of other Japanese cities and nature trips. I mean, it's got its own arcade shopping district, but in terms of urban content, Tokyo and Osaka are dominant. There are mountains and hot springs west of the city, but mountainous hot springs are everywhere in Japan. And Matsushima, the most famous landscape, is pretty. But honestly, the Riya's coast is less magnificent than Karst. It was spectacular for Japanese ancient people who were hard to go abroad. But for the world travelers in present time, it's so-so. So Sendai doesn't have the hook point. And it is not easy to visit Sendai too. From Tokyo, the south is easy to get around. There are so many famous places, Nagoya and Kansai, which includes Osaka, Kyoto, and Kobe. It's kind of the highlight of trip to Japan. Beyond that, Himeji, Hiroshima are also great destinations. So it's not too hard to get there. But Tohoku region doesn't have much to offer. And let's think about the cost. 10,000 yen one way on the Shinkansen from Tokyo. A pass for the region is 30,000 yen. The cost is very expensive. If you want to look around many prefectures in Japan, it's not a huge drawback. It's a natural stop on the way from Tokyo to Hokkaido. But on a shorter itinerary, you can go south from Tokyo or just go to Hokkaido altogether. But the decision only for Sendai is not easy to make. The overall climate is similar to New York. The temperatures don't vary much. Instead, it rains more in the summer and snows less in the winter. The heat is less than Tokyo and the cold is not as bad as Hokkaido. So you can enjoy Sendai anytime. You don't really need to prepare for the seasons. The main festival is called Tanabata. It's only 3 days a year, from August 6th to 8th. The arcade shopping district becomes really colorful, so it's fun to visit during the season. It's not easy to get to Sendai directly from overseas. There are no international flights except a few cities in East Asia. So you can come down from Hokkaido or up from Tokyo. If you're coming from Sapporo, the airplane is the answer. Currently, there is no Shinkansen line from Sapporo, so you have to travel a couple hours to Hakodate and then transfer to a Shinkansen from there. The flight is much cheaper and easier than train. Its cost is around under $80. Conversely, traveling between Tokyo and Sendai is always by train. They are so close that there are no flights at all. A Shinkansen ride costs around 10,000 yen. A JR pass that covers the entire Tohoku region is 30,000 yen. So if you're only going from Tokyo to Sendai, you can buy individual tickets. You never spend more than 10,000 yen on transportation in Sendai. But with the Tohoku pass, you can go further afield to Aomori and Akita. So if you go to Sendai for one day, Akita for one day, and Aomori for one day, the efficiency of the JR pass itself is good. The local bus I mentioned earlier, this is the most useful bus for traveling around Sendai. Here's the route map and prices. It's not that expensive and goes to all the important places. It's a great way to get around Sendai if you want to focus on the city center. There is also a Sendai area pass. You can use all the buses and the railroads in the area include Sendai Local Bus. Matsushima, Sakunami Onsen, Yamadera, and Akiu all are covered. It is also not very expensive, 1,320 yen, but there are some conditions. If you're only going to Matsushima, you don't have to buy it. It's cheaper to just buy a ticket. The first way this works is if you go to Matsushima early in the morning and then come back to the city and see Tsuihoden and Sendai Castle in that day, then you can save 300 yen. The second is to go Sakunami Onsen and then go to Yamadera in the morning. You can also save 300 yen. Unfortunately, it is hard to combine Matsushima and Yamadera in one day. Their directions are so extreme. Now, let's summarize what we learned today, all about Sendai.
Yes, this is it. Now you can say, I know about Sendai travel. To decide to travel here is not easy, but you will be rewarded. This place where I end this video is Matsushima, which is famous for its beautiful coast and oyster. Thank you for watching this long video and thank you again.